Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody tuning in. Welcome to another weekly outlook video where I'll be going over a couple of the pairs that I'm looking at going into the week of August 30th, right? So we're getting into a new month. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief overview of, some of the pairs that I'm looking at going into this new month. All right, so I got AUDJPY on the screen. Here you can see that, we have been in a steady downtrend where we were making lower lows and lower highs. But in the most recent of times, you can see that, we're failing to continue that downtrend, right? It looks like we're failing to continue trying to make lower lows in the market. And not only that, but we've broken above a pretty significant level of resistance in this past week, right? Which I have denoted with this yellow box, right? So no, long positions for me just yet, but although my bias is, towards the upside, I would like to see a retest of this broken level of resistance turn support before I take a potential long opportunity, just depending on how price interacts at that retest zone and if we can even approach it. All right, so coming over to EURAUD, you can see that EURAUD, was, trickling to the upside for a decent amount of time. But now you can see that, in the most recent of times, or just looking at the most recent price action and candlesticks that have, developed or formed, you can see we're now struggling to continue pushing to the upside, right? We were in this steady uptrend, but you can see that price is struggling to try and make that newer high in the market. I also like the fact that we've created a head and shoulders pattern, right? So that's a little bit of extra confluence or support to my bias that this uptrend or this steady trickle to the upside may no longer continue. All right, so if we zoom in on price and take a closer inspection, you can see that we are approaching a pretty significant level of support. And in order for me to enter any short positions, I would like to see a break and retest of this structure before any potential short opportunities, like I said. But I do have a short bias going into this new month for EURAUD. All right, so let's come over to GBPDKK, which is the Danish krone. And if I zoom out to the weekly, you can see that we have approached a pretty significant level of support. And not only that, but you can see that, buyers have stepped in and they are now starting to push price back to the upside, right? So I'm definitely looking for buys. I do have a buy bias going into this new month, just based on that weekly time frame analysis. But let's come down to some smaller time frames and identify some key levels, right? So I think it shows up a little bit more apparent on the 1 hour, but you can see that this past week we did break above a pretty nice level of 1 hour resistance. And we are trickling to the upside, right? We're creating this new steady upside movement after rejecting that significant level of weekly support, right? So I being a trend trader, I do like to go with the flow of price, and now I did say I do have a buy bias, but I would like to see a retest of this broken level of resistance before looking for any long opportunities in the market, right? So I definitely have a buy bias on GBPDKK going into this new month. All right, so let's come over to EURGBP, right? So with EURGBP, we've more or less been in a consolidation box, right, for a decent amount of time, right, since 2016, and we're basically just bouncing back and forth between if you will, the floor and the ceiling in this consolidation box. And the most recent price action that has been developing is suggesting that we now want to make a move back down to the bottom portion of this consolidation zone. All right, so let's zoom in on price. let's actually come down to the daily time frame. Here you can see that I actually did take a short position on EURGBP last week, which resulted in a pretty nice winner. I believe it's about 120 or so pips, give or take, in profit, and I am looking to hold it down to my final profit taking target down here in the 0.886 0.887 region. But this was a nice setup. I just saw that we were struggling to create newer highs, and also paired with that weekly analysis, suggesting that we may get a move back down to the bottom portion of that consolidation zone. Now, basically, what I was, looking at when I executed my position in the market was this bearish flag outbreak, right? So we had, impulse move, bearish flag, and then we had a breakout out of that region. And upon a retest, paired with some rejections of a 4-hour level of support and some of the personal confirmations that I look for before entering the market, I did enter a short position, and that played out very nicely. But going into this new month, I am expecting further downside movement to continue. Here you can see that I have my profit taking target, the final one, down at this supportive region here, but we'll see how price reacts at that level, if it is able to get to that zone, and see if we want to break that structure and continue that further downside movement. But great play out on EURGBP last week, and I do have a short bias on this pair going into the new month. All right, so coming over to AUDNZD, let's actually zoom out to the weekly time frame. So here, very similar to AUDJPY, where we have been in a downtrend, but we've now failed to continue creating newer lows, right? If we're in a downtrend, and if we want to continue a downtrend, we would need to create newer lows. But here you can see price has struggled to do that. And not only that, but we've broken above a pretty key level of resistance, right, on the weekly time frame, and with a whole lot of conviction. So this is just suggesting to me that we're having a shift in momentum in terms of price once being fairly bearish, but now you see a lot of bullish momentum entering the market. So in order for me to enter a long position, I would like to see price come back and retest this broken resistance, and depending on how price reacts at that zone, I may look to enter a long position. All right, so I do have a long bias on AUDNZD, AUDJPY, and a couple of the other AUD pairs, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on these going into the new month. All right, so let's take a look at EUROPLN, which is the Polish zloty, and if we zoom on onto the daily time frame, you can see that a steady downtrend has been commencing, right? So if we take an even closer inspection at price, you can see that we just had a bearish flag breakout, right? We just had a breakout out of this channel. And for me to enter a short position, right, because I'm basing it off of the fact that we're in a downtrend and we just had a bearish flag breakout, I would like to see a retest of this broken structure before potentially taking a short opportunity. All right, in terms of profit taking targets, let me come back up to the daily time frame. This is the most immediate level of structure that stands out to me. So if we can come back and give that structure a little bit of a retest, that would fall in line nicely with a nice short trade back down to that zone. All right, so let's come over to SP500. Let me zoom out to the weekly time frame so that we can see a little bit more of the chart, get a bird's eye view. And here you can see that we're in a steady downtrend. We had a huge retracement, but you can see that we've fully recovered, and we just continue to trickle back to the upside and continue this uptrend, right, if you will. So looking at the fact that we have broken this weekly resistance, I do see, further upside movement to continue. You can see that, there's a whole lot of bullish momentum coming into the play in the market for the past couple of weeks. I would like to see a retest of this broken level of resistance turn support before looking for a potential long opportunity to the upside, right? I want to go with the trend. I want to go with the flow of price, and it just continues to trickle to the upside. So I see no reason to go against that current. All right, you guys, so those are the pairs that I'm looking at going into, this new month. And if you guys appreciate the simplicity as well as accuracy of my analysis, definitely leave a like down below, as well as comment any pair that you want to see covered in next week's video. And definitely do not forget to subscribe for future content like this. All right, so with that, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll check back with you guys very soon. Peace.